bring in NBC News political analyst Nicolle Wallace and Josh Earnest, who served as President Obama's White House press secretary. Ladies, gentlemen, good to see you both.
Good morning.
Nicolle, let me start with you before we go forward. Let's talk about what was accomplished in the House in the past. Getting Republicans in the House together on a bill like this was like herding cats. They did pass it. Slim margin, but they passed it. How big an accomplishment?
It's a huge deal, and it's Paul Ryan's first legislative win on behalf of this president. And I think Paul Ryan knew exactly how to be Paul Ryan had Hillary Clinton won. I think he's grappled with how to be Paul Ryan, the conservative thinker, in the time of Trump. Trump last night at an event voiced admiration for Australia's healthcare system. Australia's healthcare system is more similar to an Obamacare single-payer system than it is to the Republican bill. So Paul Ryan has a legislative win. He brought his coalition together. But I think that the president remains a wild card in all this.
Josh, you were in the Obama White House when they passed health care. You know something about how difficult this is. So do you think the Republicans are going to be able to pull it off, where they can craft a bill in the Senate that can then get it through the House as well, where ultimately the law is changed?
Well, Savannah, I think Senate Republicans are unlikely to take the same kind of political risk that House Republicans did, because, look, they face the same kind of agonizing political dilemma of either breaking their oft-repeated promise to repeal Obamacare or keeping that promise by passing a bill that's wildly unpopular that would raise costs on seniors, on working people, and on people with pre-existing conditions. So the calculation that House Republicans have made is pretty obvious. No sooner had they cast the vote in favor of this bill than they walked off the floor of the House of Representatives, got on a bus, and took that bus down Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House, where they stood with President Trump. It's clear that they're counting on President Trump to make the case to the American people over the objections of the AARP, over the objections of the American Medical Association, over the objections of the American Nurses Association, that what they did was the right thing to do. That's a big risk to take when you're talking about the most unpopular president in American history at this stage of his presidency.
And Nicolle, it's a big risk for some of those members of the House who are going to face very difficult re-election battles in swing districts coming up in a year and a half or so. You heard Nancy Pelosi say they're going to end up walking the plank on this, and those ads that the Democratic Party is already starting to put together is going to make them glow in the dark. What's the impact going to be in the races?
Listen, in fairness, Obamacare wasn't that popular either until Republicans started talking about taking it away. And even longtime Republicans, I talked to a former Reagan aide yesterday who said once people have something, it's always going to be an impossible mission to then take it from them, particularly when it's their health care. So I know we talk about the politics of this. This involves people's lives, and it's why there are so many passions. But it would be unfair to the Republicans and unfair to simply sort of presume that Obamacare was perfect. In private, even Democrats, even the President of the United States was talking to this new administration about how to fix and improve Obamacare should there be a transition. And I think the greatest opportunity for this White House is to make these fixes, and I think this is what's going to happen in the Senate. I think Josh would probably even agree. The Senate will probably look at some fixes, some efficiencies, but I don't think the Senate will produce a bill that's as extreme as what came out of the House.
But members of Congress are saying we can go back to our district and say we did vote to repeal and replace. For them, that might be the whole ballgame.
And that's popular among a sliver of movement conservatives, but this is about people's families, people's lives.
Josh and Nicolle, thank you very much. Good to talk to you guys.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.